examples there, and those examples show that actually, so that those, if you go through them, you will see those constraints can be very specific, and they will be really very constraining, like so constraining the decisions of the, like so the free decision process of the managers to quite a large extent. So why do we have this kind of debt covenants? I mean, so we didn't have any this kind of restrictions, I mean, so with the equity holders. So why there is such a thing, I mean, so with the with the debt covenants? I discuss it in the slides, and you can maybe like intuitively think of it as well. Reduce agency costs, exactly. So like, as I mentioned, I mean, in the slides, the shareholders and debt holders, they have different, I mean, so they have different interests, which comes through the fact that, I mean, so that their financing from the firm takes a different form. Debt holders are promised a certain amount of money, right? So they will get their regular interest payments, and they will get, I mean, so the principal back. The equity holders, on the other hand, are so-called residual claimants. That means whatever is there in the company after all agents who were promised fixed payouts, that's debt holders, employees, suppliers, and so on, all the rest is for the, I mean, so for the equity holders. So that means sometimes there are like so a lot of agency conflicts. I assume you talk a little bit about agency conflicts and corporate governance in the first lectures with Pantelis. And these debt covenants are here to protect the interest of the debt holders against the interest, I mean, so for mostly of the shareholders. And that leaves, and that puts us to the last set of slides of the debt, when we discuss more in the detail the various agency costs and agency benefits associated with higher level of debt, with higher level of leverage. So we first discussed like various costs of the debt. So this is mostly underinvestment and overinvestment. Again, it comes, I mean, so like through the fact that the shareholders and debt holders have different interests. And we talk about agency benefits. There are three main benefits. So first, a high level of leverage allows higher level of ownership concentration, which is good from the point of view that then the manager owner, I mean, so the interest of, I mean, so of the manager with a high stake in the firm is better aligned with the interest of the firm. The second benefit of the agency benefit of the debt is the reduction of wasteful investment. And the third one is increasing the commitment of the management to pursue certain firm strategies and maybe compete more aggressively in the product markets. Now, there is one article again, I mean, so by Jensen, which was uploaded in this part of the debt financing, which discusses one of those three, I mean, so three main agency benefits of the debt. Which one? Which one of those three benefits of the debt, agency benefits of the debt, which I mentioned, is covered by the article by Jensen? Free cash flow, okay, so, and that relates, I mean, so to which of those three, right? So I said ownership concentration, reduction of wasteful investment, commitment. So the free cash flow relates to one of those three. Reduction of wasteful investment, exactly. So what is the idea? So like the Jensen, I mean, so this is actually probably one of the most influential papers in corporate finance overall. I mean, so has been cited like thousands of times, probably by now. And it's introducing exactly this idea of free cash flow and how the leverage can address the agency costs associated with the free cash flow. So first of all, what is free cash flow? You know what cash flow is in generally, so what does it mean free cash flow in this, I mean, so in this context? It's free from point of view of which agent in the corporation. Yes, so that's a correct. I mean, so like answer in general, like, so what is the general idea of the article? When cash is tight, as interest needs to be paid, managers will be motivated to run the firm as efficiently as possible. Well, and that already, so like, so that would have been like, so the next question. So based on this, what is free cash flow? Additional cash, but additional, not quite additional from what point of view? I mean, it's not wrong, but like, but maybe more precise.
Maybe it is the required of fund of all projects that the cash flows it is the required of fund of all projects that NPV over 0.
Yeah, that was the important part. Yeah, exactly the last part, right? So like, so I see some answer about cash flow in excess of all required to fund all projects, not all projects. The projects with net, I mean, because that's exactly the point. The managers can always come up with projects which actually don't benefit the firm, but benefit themselves. Right. So, for example, growing the firm beyond optimal size, because that means they will have be paid a higher salary, although the overall profits will go down, but the revenues will go up. So it is important. It's that cash flow, I mean, so which is there at the free disposal of the managers. So there's like, so two possibilities how to define it. Like, so the cash flow, I mean, so which is there beyond all the, I mean, so all the projects which has net present value. And other, I mean, so way how to do it is how to look at it is the cash which is at the discretion of the managers. And that's exactly important why, I mean, so why the debt disciplines the managers, because when the, I mean, so when they have to make those regular payments of the interest rate and eventually pay back also the principal of the bonds or bank loans, that restricts, I mean, so their discretionary power. They have less free cash flow at their disposal, which they can use as they see fit. And that therefore declines the probability that they are going to use this cash flow in order to, I mean, so to improve their own life, you know, buying corporate jets, for example, which they are going to use and which don't really increase the value of the company, rather than actually so pay off the, I mean, so like, so pay off this free cash flow, that's like additional resources beyond the level of net present value projects to the shareholders or debt holders. Okay, so now when we know, like, so what is the free cash flow, what is the, I mean, so what is the problem with it, and how the debt, I mean, so can help. So what firms and industries, I mean, so would suffer from this problem the most? Not asking about specific industries, that will be, I mean, so the next questions, but first generally, like, so from principal point of view, what characteristics of the firms or industries will make this problem worse? Even if you didn't read the article, right? So from the, I mean, so from the stuff which we discuss now, you understand, I mean, so what is the free cash flow, where the problem comes from. So what is the characteristics of a form of industry which will make, I mean, so the occurrence of this problem more severe or more probable? Yeah, that's a specific industry, so we will come to that, but I don't ask for a specific industry yet. So I'm asking about the, like, so the general characteristics of a firm or industry. Yeah, shareholders and managers, this is like, so it's generally the conflict between shareholders and managers, but you have this in, like, so in all companies. So like, so what is the characteristics of the, like, what is the specific characteristics which makes this problem worse? A lack of investment, not quite. There is like something missing. You go in the right direction. It's not lack of investment per se, right? So it's again about what kind of investment. Yes, yes. So I think we are going there. So it's a lack of investment. I mean, so with profitable opportunity, lack of profitable investment opportunities. Right. So that's exactly the point. Like investment, the managers can always decide to make additional investment, profitable or non-profitable. And that's why the problem will be particularly severe in those firms or those industries which do not have any profitable opportunities anymore, because the industry is maybe mature, because because the consumer tastes change, and and the industry is declining. That's why that was this example, which was mentioned before, like some of you said, oil industry. In particular, he talks in the article about the oil industry after the oil shock, right? So after the oil shock, it was clear that the oil becomes more expensive, but that means that the consumer adjusts. Consumer adjusts, and that's why in long term, there is an overcapacity in the industry, and that one industry and the firms in it would be should shrink. Another industry, which which he mentions as an example, where you can also think this is probably even strict, more true now than it was back then when he wrote the article, when it's about the consumer changes, so that the market, actually went smaller. It's like uses oil industry, and there is another one which which the argument is, so there are so low growth prospects for the future. How many of you smoke compared to your parents or grandparents? Generally, at least, in most countries, there is smoking, is on decline. So tobacco industry would be one of those, would be one of those industries where there is low investment opportunities, because there is low growth, prospects for the future. And that's why, and that's why there is, a problem of the free cash flow. And as somebody said, before, is exactly the second argument is, where was it? Here it is. Large cash flows, low growth prospects. So we discuss, low growth prospects, and exactly the second argument is large cash flow. So when those two things are combined, then is when this problem is most severe. And again, that was the example, of the oil industry after the oil shock, and it's the case of the tobacco industry. So those industries don't have, scope for, for growing a lot, in the future. But at the same time, at the tobacco industry at the present, and the oil industry, after the oil shock, was generating a lot of cash, a lot of cash, which then the managers, could use at their disposal. So exactly, that shows, that shows that these, if you think about the idea behind the free cash flow, that will determine what kind of industry, will suffer the most. And then when you look at the reality of individual industries, that will, that will show you which one, it's most at the risk. And and another part of the article, we didn't discuss in the detail, because you didn't go through the mergers and acquisition topics so far, but you will see, so that based on this theory, you can make some predictions or interpretations of the mergers and acquisition activity. So that's why this article is so influential. It's mostly about the disciplining role of debt, but it also has important lessons for capital structure. Whether to do debt financing or equity financing, and also for for mergers and acquisitions. So once you, cover more topics regarding the capital structure, mergers and acquisitions, you might want to go back to this article and see how it actually fits those new topics, which will come up later during your class. Okay, So this would be from my point of view. So I hope that I provided you, I mean, so to kind of like short summary about the about the issues which were covered in those materials on equity and debt financing, and maybe provided a little bit broader context to it. If for whatever reason you didn't have time to, I mean, so to go through the slides, I mean, so in detail, or read those article in the detail, please do it. I mean, so please do it please do it later. Are there any questions to this particular topic on your side, from your side?
I actually have an overall general question.
Well, I'm not the course coordinator, but I will try.
No.
Okay, so yeah.
So it's just related to the article in the academic reading. You said that it's very important that we read these articles to understand the concepts and kind of get some information out of it. So how exactly would you encourage us to read it? Because I believe most of us have been doing it for the first time. So
yeah, so you need it. I mean, so it's also a little bit learning by doing. So you need to to read it critically, and I think you get a better idea when you read more of those articles. So so exactly, because if you are at the beginning, I don't want to overwhelm you. So what I want to stress at this point, don't take everything which is in the article at the face value, right? It's not a text. I mean, so it's so that's why I started here. I mean, so with the review article, which is kind of more objective, stating the fact. But as you see, what we discuss, the authors have certain preferences. I mean, so certain opinions, and you need to, I mean, so to identify. I mean, so when do they make a claim? I mean, so on their own, and when they are just stating the facts. And then you have to see whether that argument, I mean, so is convincing for you or not. Sometimes, I mean, so if it's a good article and if the, I mean, so authors are honest, which is mostly the case, if there is an opposing, I mean, so view to what the claim they do, they sometimes say, yeah, well, I mean, so on the other hand, this and this argue, I mean, so argue like this. And then you might want to go to that article and see, I mean, so to make your own judgment, which of those, I mean, so like convinces you more. So it is, I mean, so you will get into it over time. So at this stage, I just wanted to stress so that so that academic articles are not, I mean, so are not textbooks. So this is like opinion, like, evidence-based, but but opinion and claims of, I mean, so of individual authors. And there are certain topics, I mean, so which are controversial in the literature. And you need to see both sides, I mean, so both sides of the arguments.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so it's just at the stage, but I mean, but I know that Pantelis, I mean, so puts a lot of emphasis, I mean, so on academic articles in his class. So maybe he can provide you more detail, I mean, so about what exactly he expects from you. You want to get from, I mean, so from the articles. I just don't. I didn't want to go on his turf and provide you with some detailed guidance, because I'm not course coordinator. What I'm giving you more, it's kind of general advice, which I believe will be helpful also beyond this class, right? So will be helpful also when you later work on your thesis and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, any other question? Well, if not, thank you very much for your attention. I hope this session has been useful for you. But again, I need to stress we are in the specific situation with the COVID and lack of face-to-face teaching. So this kind of sessions, it's really something complementary, right? So unfortunately, the most work you will have to do in an asynchronous way by, I mean, so going through all the materials which were uploaded on the on the Moodle side, which is, I think it's also helpful for you, and it will learn you, I mean, so for preparing for later your assignments and your class, if you don't cluster your preparation too much, but really work on it regularly, and in particular, go through the material before the session so that you get probably more of the session like this if you already looked on the materials, I mean, so on the materials on your own, so that the session provides you maybe just big picture, and maybe fill in some gaps which you were not able, I mean, so to understand, I mean, so on your first reading. So thank you very much for your attention again. Again, hope it was helpful. And I'm not going to see you. I mean, so like you guys, I mean, so for the rest of your class. But if you have like any questions on this particular topic, I mean, so you can write me an email. And otherwise, I wish you all the luck with this class and with your whole study. Okay, take care.